Among the many disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha, female disciples were few and far between. However, this woman, named Lianhua-se, was praised by all as the foremost in supernatural powers. Her story can truly be described as extraordinary and full of twists and turns. Now, let us delve into the legendary life of the Lotus Hue. She was a stunning presence from birth, her skin delicate and smooth like a freshly blossomed lotus, with a transparent and clear complexion reminiscent of the waters of a celestial lake. Her pair of blue eyes were deep and captivating, and she carried an inherent fragrance like that of a lotus flower. His family named him Lotus Hue because of this unique gift, hoping he could be as pure and beautiful as a lotus. However, this naturally beautiful man embodied the ancient saying, "A beautiful woman has a short life," as his lotus-colored father passed away early, and his mother became a widow at a young age. As time passed, the young widow gradually felt loneliness. After reaching adulthood, Lianhua-se married a man of considerable prestige. Shortly after their marriage, she became pregnant, and according to Indian customs, she returned to her parental home to give birth. However, the appearance of happiness was soon shattered. One day, Lianhua unexpectedly witnessed a scene that was utterly unbearable. Her husband actually slept with her mother. The loneliness of her mother and the betrayal of her husband tore Lianhua-se's heart apart. Confronted with the absurd tragedy within the family, she chose to support her mother, quietly departing with her newborn daughter, embarking on a solitary path. During her journey, Lianhua-se encountered a merchant who was gentle and considerate, offering her a new refuge. However, the good times did not last long. Although the merchant was very fond of Lianhua-se, at the instigation of a friend, she said she only liked women as beautiful as the color of the lotus flower. Coincidentally, it was during the local Girls' Day festival that the merchant friend found a young girl who bore a striking resemblance to Lianhua and persuaded the merchant to marry her. After the young girl was brought home, Lianhua-se discovered a shocking truth. The girl was actually the daughter she had with her ex-husband. Confronted once again with the rupture of family ties and marriage, Lianhua-se chose to leave, leaving happiness to her daughter. The lotus-shaped Sarasvati, wandering alone at this time, was only in her 20s, the prime of her youthful beauty. However, the pressures of life and her complete disappointment in men led her to become a socialite. Her beauty and charm made her the object of pursuit by many, even arousing jealousy and hostility from the local courtesans. Once, the prostitutes banded together to accuse Lianhua-se of stealing their business and even forced her to prove her capabilities. Lianhua-se made a bet with them to seduce a young man practicing the contemplation of impurity, who was said to have a mind as calm as still water, unmoved by beauty. By virtue of wisdom and skill, Lotus Saras successfully enticed the youth and gave birth to a pair of dragon phoenix twins. Unable to bear the burden, he entrusted the child to others for care, unaware that fate was once again laying a trap for him. The twins, a boy and a girl, were sent separately to the east and west sides of the city, where the gatekeepers took them in and, by a twist of fate, arranged their marriage. Years later, the boy grew into adulthood and encountered the lotus-hued one who was approaching the age of 40. The young man was captivated by her beauty and gentleness, while Lotus Blossom, in turn, developed affection for the young man's innocence. They began a relationship and eventually became husband and wife. Shortly thereafter, the young man married a wife according to their arranged marriage contract. It turned out to be the son whom Lianhua had abandoned many years ago. Even more astonishingly, the son born to Lotus Blossom color and the youth is simultaneously his son and his grandson, both the younger brother of his son and the child of his husband. This discovery plunged Lotus Hue into complete despair, prompting him to choose once again to leave and return to Rajgir. Despite the burdens of life and the passage of time, his beauty did not diminish in the slightest. On the contrary, it became even more breathtaking, inspiring awe in all who beheld it. Here, for the sake of livelihood, He had no choice but to once again immerse himself in obscurity, yet due to his unparalleled charm, he became the focal point pursued by all the men in the city. His value was so extraordinary that ordinary people could not aspire to it, with each half-month costing as much as 500 units of currency. Thus, his guests became princes and nobles, wealthy merchants and magnates, while those who were financially constrained could only look on with sighs of longing. One day, 500 men, united in pursuing a shared dream, pooled together 500 gold coins and invited Padmasambhava to gather in a luxurious garden to enjoy themselves. The lotus-shaped symbols undoubtedly are the focal point in the assembly. His smile and demeanor made everyone feel that their efforts were worthwhile. However, amidst the bustling prosperity and clamor, the life of Lianhua-se quietly reached a turning point. On this day, Venerable Lotus appeared before Lotus Saraira by the power of supernatural abilities. He was not seduced by his beauty, but compassionately pointed out the misdirection in his life. He revealed the impure nature of the human body with a verse, awakening Lotus Ses to the truth with language that strikes the heart. You take pride in this dazzling outer form, yet you do not realize that the 9 orifices weep, filled with impurity. Indulging in worldly desires only causes you to be like a mouse drawn to rice, sinking deeper and deeper. After hearing this, Lianhua-se was deeply shaken, as if struck by a heavy hammer. For the first time, he seriously pondered what his beauty had truly brought him. A strong sense of repentance arose in his heart, and he prayed to the Blessed One to guide him out of the ocean of suffering. Currently, even Shakyamuni admonishes him to go and confess to the Buddha, who will point out a path to liberation for him. The lotus-colored being immediately set out, preparing to pay homage to the Buddha. However, on the way, he passed by a river and saw his own reflection in the water. He could not help but feel compassion for his still beautiful appearance. At this moment, his resolve for the way began to waver. I am still so beautiful. Do I really want to give up everything? Just as he hesitated, the Buddha, perceiving the intentions of his mind, manifested as a beautiful and elegant noblewoman to accompany him. The noble lady was elegant and charming, engaging in lively conversation with Lotus Hue, making Lotus Hue feel an exceptional affinity. However, shortly thereafter, the noble lady suddenly fell seriously ill, her appearance rapidly withering, and she passed away that very night. The rapid decay and decomposition of the corpse filled the lotus-colored being with profound horror. Only then did he understand that life and beauty are but fleeting illusions, subject to the ever-present impermanence. He felt ashamed and deeply realized that outward beauty is ultimately illusory. Only diligent practice can lead to liberation. Lianhua color finally came before the Buddha, filled with memories, confessed her past, and earnestly requested to ordain and practice the Dharma. The Buddha accepted him and wrote a letter directing him to travel to Sravasti to meet the nun Mahapajapati Gautami, requesting to ordain as a monastic. For her safety, the poor woman was escorted by armed guards led by Roa before setting out on the journey to Sravasti. This woman, once misunderstood, walked the path of redemption under the protection of the royal family. This is undoubtedly a distinguished honor in her life. After ordination, with the purity of a lotus, one reforms the mind, strictly observes the precepts, and devotes oneself to focused practice. With extraordinary perseverance and devotion, she quickly attained the fruition of the arahant and became a venerable bhikkhuni. However, her legend did not end there. Due to the vows made in his past life, he cultivated powerful supernatural abilities, becoming the foremost exemplar of divine powers among the bhikkhus. He not only assisted the monastic community in resolving difficulties, but also protected other bhikkhunis with compassion and wisdom. With this, he used supernatural powers to rescue a bhikkhuni who had been forcibly kept in the palace, bringing her back from her predicament to the Sangha. Moreover, the lotus color, through its own power, helped many suffering bhikkhus during years of famine. In that year, food was extremely scarce, and many monks went hungry because they were unable to obtain alms food. Lotus Color would distribute the food he received each day to other monks, even to the point of nearly collapsing from hunger for 3 consecutive days. Suspecting this, he fell by the roadside due to hunger, his face covered with mud. An elder, deeply moved by the sight, took him home to offer support and pledged to sustain his practice long term. This deeply moving experience, once known to the Buddha, became an opportunity to establish the monastic disciplinary code. In the later years of the Buddha, Devadatta instigated turmoil. Not only did he split the Sangha, but he also incited Prince Ajatasattu of the Magadha kingdom to commit patricide and usurp the throne, attempting to leverage the new king's power to establish himself as a rival to the Buddha. Although this calamity was temporarily quelled through the persuasion of Sariputra and Moggallana, leading Prince Ajatasattu to repent and take refuge in the Buddha, Devadatta's ambition remained unquenched. He still harbored evil intentions, continuously creating disturbances in an attempt to undermine the foundation of the Buddha Sangha. One day, the Buddha was residing at the Bamboo Grove Monastery in Rajagaha. The place was meticulously arranged, with various halls and all types of seating coverings spread on the floors, providing convenience for the assembly's practice. To maintain purity, the Buddha especially established a precept that one must wash their feet before entering the hall. However, Devadatta deliberately violated the precepts to express his dissatisfaction with the Buddha. He stepped into the hall without washing his feet, soiling the seating area, clearly challenging the order of the monastic community. At that moment, Bhikkhuni Lianhua was passing by and, upon witnessing Devadatta's actions, felt both anger and sorrow. He is a venerable and respected saint within the Sangha. Though a man, he never fears to speak candidly and offer admonition. He stepped forward and spoke gently yet firmly. The world-honored one has established the precepts, clearly stating that washing feet is prohibited and one must not enter the hall. Why do great virtuous ones knowingly transgress and deliberately violate? Devadatta, furious due to the failure of various conspiracies, was incandescent with rage. When confronted with a gentle admonition colored like a lotus, instead of reflecting, he became even more ashamed and angry. He glared angrily at Lotus Blossom, revealing his resentment without restraint, and sneered sarcastically. "You are merely a bhikkhuni, yet you dare to lecture me? Do you think your precepts and practice surpass mine?" The lotus-colored one was not intimidated by his words, but faced them calmly, continuing to persuade gently. However, Devadatta, blinded by anger and extreme delusion, suddenly swung his fist with all his might towards the lotus-colored head. This punch, as heavy as a mountain stone, strikes directly at the vital point. Devadatta was one of the strongest figures in the Buddha's family, known for his strength, second only to the Buddha and Nanda. No ordinary person could withstand his strike. Although Lianhua-se had attained supernatural powers and early realization of the arhat fruit, his physical body remained fragile. Struck by such a heavy blow, she attained parinirvana on the spot, ending the legendary life of this eminent bhikkhuni. After the news spread, the entire monastic community was filled with sorrow. The parinirvana of Lianhua-se was not only a great loss to the Sangha, but also made everyone more aware of the terrifying obstinacy of Devadatta. Upon learning this, the Buddha lamented with compassion, saying that although the lotus-colored one abandoned the original form of the body, their practice had long since liberated them from the cycle of birth and death. Its departure serves as a warning to the world. Lustful thoughts constantly devour wisdom, while virtuous deeds continuously guide the way to light. This event is also known as an important teaching in the Buddha's Dharma regarding the restraint of anger and the cultivation of the mind. Padmasambhava consummated his final compassionate exhortation with his own life, leaving an indelible example of practice for future generations.